We can hear you. We are just setting up. We'll be ready in like 2 minutes. We just had a little holiday potluck. Oh, Jay's frozen now. Frozen, yeah. Okay, we are at our trustee work session and it is 5:36. We're going to give it one more minute. We have a couple of trustees in the bathroom right now. We just had a little potluck. So they are coming in soon.
And Gloria, this is Shay. I did join on my phone. It's a 720 number, just in case my internet drops. And it says I'm muted, so I don't know if you have to promote that to a panelist or how that works.
I think we'll just allow you to talk on that if you need.
If it goes away.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for letting us know. Tyler,
Hi,
if you're hungry, you can grab a plate.
thanks.
How's the drive?
Not bad. What I missed?
We're still waiting. We just.
Oh, we haven't started?
Oh, we're in between starting. Yeah. Yeah, you made it. Let's see, Lucy's having some trouble with her sound real quick, so once we get that sorted, we can begin. There's plenty of food.
Awesome.
Crash out soon. Lucy, can you hear us?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Do you want to kick it off?
Sure.
right.
So thank you everyone for coming to this Board of Trustees work session on the land use code. We have sent you all out an overview of what we discussed with the Planning Commission. And this really is just an opportunity to go over anything on that list or any other topics that you wanted to bring up to talk about before we move into adoption hearings. Shay and Elizabeth are also here to help guide this conversation. Shay, is there anything else you wanted to add?
No.
Okay. Cool. Well, with that, we will hand it over to the board. You all should have a zoning map in front of you as well. And I'm happy to put one up on the screen if you would like.
And then I did send you all a kind of a synopsis of what the Planning Commission talked about on Friday as well. So if you guys want to kind of work off of that, but I will let Shay take it away.
Yeah, I was hoping to go over a couple of the items in bold that the Planning Commission brought up during their work session and just kind of get some input on those. So if it's okay with you guys, maybe we could jump into those first, get that conversation going, and then leave the last part of the meeting for other questions and discussion. Does that work all right?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So one of the first questions was about vacation rentals. So the input from the Planning Commission was to allow individual owners to have multiple vacation rentals in the BP district, but not any other vacation rentals in other districts. What do you guys think about that? Do you agree, disagree, like it, want to tweak it?
So is this owners who already have vacation rentals in the BP zone or for anyone in the future who?
Yeah, so good question. It wouldn't depend necessarily on if someone has one currently or not. The way that the code is currently drafted is that one person can have one vacation rental, period. And I believe the suggestion coming from the Planning Commission was to allow people to have multiple vacation rentals if they are only in the BP district. Does that clarify that?
Yes, thank you.
So it's really just on green and like a little off of green.
You know, and if it's helpful, I think you guys have historically allowed one per person. So that would be a change. There's also some consideration for how vacation rentals are taxed. So typically they're residences and they're taxed as a residential use. However, some people can, own multiples and it kind of functions maybe more like a hotel. And I think maybe that's why the Planning Commission was thinking to allow one person to have more is because you're in your downtown district. Maybe it's appropriate that it acts a little bit more like a hotel. But that would just be different and it would potentially compete with your other lodging establishments that pay a commercial property tax. So definitely up to you guys and how you feel that's appropriate in your community.
Any more context from the planning commission there around this discussion?
Other than what she's discussed there. One thing that concerns me about multiple rental units by one person, someone can come in, buy up a bunch of houses and rent them out that way, and we're losing housing for long-term.
I think the limiting factor is that it's only in the BP zone.
Right.
Because we wouldn't allow it, because I'm a staunch no if it's allowed anywhere else.
Absolutely.
The only reason to consider it is because it's in the BP zone.
And we do have several, I guess you would call them owners that have multiple that were grandfathered in when we did put our ordinance in place.
Yeah.
For vacation rentals. So there are
Yeah.
existing owners of multiple units on Green Street right now.
When did that ordinance pass? Sorry.
I don't have that off the top of my head.
Sorry.
I wrote an article.
Just for clarity, we're saying BP, but in the new code, this is gonna be the mixed use zone, is that correct?
Yes,
Yes, and
at downtown.
Downtown mixed use.
It was late 2020, early 2021,
Mm,
to answer that question.
Thanks, Jim.
I mean, are there many people who want more than one vacation rental right now who have been coming to you guys?
We've seen that before. Yeah.
I agree with Tyler. It's like not ideal, but there was one place to have it being like the BP mixed use area
But I mean, some of this stuff goes
down.
down towards Empire Street even.
Yeah, I mean, historically, it's whatever the business area is, right? And
Yeah.
and I'll be honest, I had forgotten that we had limited it in BP. I thought that people in BP probably could have, and I was unclear on that.
Yeah. And I guess if we're just limiting it to that, it's all right, but anywhere else, no.
And the planning commission's argument was just economic development, like promoting more folks coming to stay in town. Okay.
You agree with that, Jim?
Yeah, Jim, were you on that too?
Yes. The argument then is the same as now. When the P and O committee met, the ordinance committee met to pass this and to have this deep discussion, it was former Mayor Furman, Trustee Barella, myself, and John Ryder at the time. And the discussion was regarding residential rates versus commercial rates and how many can one individual own, and should there be a limit on that number per individual. So it's a healthy discussion, and I'm glad we're having it 3 years later.
Yeah, and right now, is there not a specific, there's no specific number being proposed, just allowing multiple vacation rentals?
That's a good point, Amy.
Can we limit it to 2? I mean,
Someone could come up and buy like 10 houses.
yeah, because if it's broad, if it's written broadly like that, then I do see Ron's concern.
Yeah, what the planning commission brought up was just allowing multiple. They did not recommend a specific number.
Does compete with our other housing issue, but
But I just think it's
limited.
such a limited space.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree.
But
So then there's their opposition to opening it up to multiple per owner.
I think I'd like to be more clear on what that number looks like for my, oh yeah, Jim?
Yeah, I'm for it. I think I don't think it's a bad idea. I would like to dig a little deeper regarding commercial rates versus just standard residential rates. Because what you're essentially doing is opening up to a commercial business.
Yeah.
And having the deep discussions that we're having as a community, fundamental questions, this would be on par with that, I think.
Yeah, that's my concern too. I think that it's in general a good idea to allow commercial activity in the commercial district. That's why it exists. And I think that we shouldn't stifle what people want to do to bring economic development to our town. But I do think that there's a reason that those properties are assessed differently. And I'm curious how much the difference would be.
Yeah, the tax rate is quite significant. I don't know it off the top of my head. The state legislature tried to address this. Was that this year? Does anybody remember? Or last year, maybe? I think it was last year, tried to address adjusting the tax rate a bit, and it did not pass. And it's quite significant, as far as I remember. And, you guys are bringing up all sorts of really good points. It's not a great thing for affordable housing, but it can be nice for economic development. But it is using your residential properties in a commercial way without the benefit of those taxes. So yes, we can kind of do it however you guys want. I don't think you guys locally will be able to change that tax structure. That is a state process, just to throw that in there, unless Elizabeth, there's something I'm missing there.
You're correct, Shay. And as it's currently written, it's just one per VRBO. So one owner gets one VRBO.
Jim, would that kind of change, since we're not able to address the tax structure? I don't know if there's a solution of it, because I hear you, agree with you. but if we can't change that element, would you not want to move forward with multiple owners or?
Um, yeah, I would still like to move forward. I would like to see some sort of guardrails in place, some sort of limit potentially, whether it's 3, whether it's 5. I'd hate to see one individual come in and start gobbling everything up, because then that individual becomes a hotel with 30, 40, 50 rooms underneath an LLC umbrella.
Yeah, I agree with Jim. I think if we go forward with this, I'd like to see some sort of number or limit.
I agree with that.
Am I hearing agreement on that? Now we just need.
Uneasy agreement from me.
May I ask a follow-up question? Are you looking for a recommendation on that number from discussion in the community that you guys want to have at some point in time? Or do you want the consultant team to come back and let you know how other similar towns are handling this in their commercial districts? Is there something else you were thinking, or do you just want some time to think about what the appropriate number might be for Silverton?
Probably not the community option, right? That would probably take more time than we have.
Maybe to see what other communities around us are doing.
What if the scenarios, other communities aren't limiting it like this? Like, I agree, but I like, this is a pretty like, I mean, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, but it seems like something that's pretty niche and other communities might not necessarily have like limits on it, but yeah.
I think we're going to find a limit in one form or another, be that a full-on cap or done by zone district like this. I would guess post-COVID, most communities under 20 or 30,000 people in Colorado have put something in place, unless they just have thrown their hands up and said we're not regulating it. So I'm not concerned that we won't find something that we can make work proportionately for you.
Right.
Yeah, I would feel much more comfortable if we could find some cap that's on the low end of what we're seeing in other communities. I think that would feel right for me because of our small size and the level of housing issues that we have.
Agreed.
But that's not to say that we shouldn't allow it. I think that's an important difference. And I also wonder about the distinction between like rentable units versus properties, like assessed properties, and how that might apply if we're saying, what if you have one property that has, you rent out the house and your ADU both as vacation rentals, does that count as 1 or 2? And I'm curious if that is addressed in other communities, and if so, how would we incorporate that?
It is addressed by some communities, and we can certainly bring back some recommendations for you to show you guys ways that other communities kind of slice and dice it. But usually if there is a way to break this into, you can do this and you can't do that, somebody in this state has done it. So let's go see what we can find that meets what you're saying, the size of Silverton, the level of severity of the housing issue, and the idea that we still want to see economic development taking place downtown.
That sounds good to me. Yeah.
Are we comfortable moving to the next one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, the next one is around the dark skies topic. So as you guys know, we've incorporated the information kind of required by Dark Skies International to become a certified community. And part of that is that they require that the whole town complies with the ordinance in no more than 10 years. The recommendation from the Planning Commission was to consider reducing this to 5 years. So the whole town would need to come into compliance with the lighting ordinance in 5 years, or the new lighting regulations. This is something that I believe the national organization allows up to 10 years because it can just take some time. It's a complicated thing, and you're actually replacing like every single outdoor light bulb potentially. And something else to keep in mind is that, you know, town, I don't think has any.
I think she froze.
She froze. She'll come back.
I think what she was going to say is town doesn't have any funds allocated to helping residents.
There we go.
Because we talked about this prior, but
Mhm.
we don't have any
Yeah.
money allocated for to help. It would be an unfunded mandate, basically.
Yeah, so we're gonna cut down the time they have to do it by half without giving them any funds.
And I don't know, sorry, I don't know what happened in this past planning commission. I wasn't able to attend, but in previous work sessions, it's been a topic of conversation. It's just like the desire for that dark sky vibe. It was that similar conversation this time.
So I have a question. How do you determine what type of light you have in your residence? Is somebody gonna come by with a meter and check, or how's that gonna work
Yeah,
out?
they had, it was, it's part of the packet that I think we were given initially when we were approached with this, is like what kind of lights are acceptable under. And so if you don't have whatever the lighting is that is in one of the categories, then maybe you're not in compliance is the only way. It was, yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
how.
There's a number of resources out there to aid in community members, you know, voluntary compliance. But when it comes down to enforcement, it will ultimately, you know, be our enforcement officer going out and determining whether they're in compliance with a number of tools, including a lighting meter.
Hmm. 10 years would give us more time to get in compliance officer. Able to enforce it.
Is San Miguel Power, they have most of the street lights in town, or are those ours? I guess those are probably ours.
Yeah, there's a partnership with the publicly owned street lighting, but this would be for privately owned lights.
Yes.
Yeah.
San Miguel's lights are LEDs and they're in compliance. There's the rules and regulations, handheld devices where you can measure the lumens, temperature of the light, the direction of the light, how long that light is actually on. Does it shut off durations during the nighttime? I think there's several more, but that's just a general overview.
Five years still feels too fast for an unfunded mandate then.
Yeah. I mean, I'm comfortable with the 10 years.
In the community, who's leading kind of dark skies? Like, is this something?
Sarah Moore with San Juan Development Association.
Yeah, but more like, it's not like a, like citizen initiated. Cole.
Yeah.
Besides Cole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So those have been he kind of started it and Sarah took it on. We were just recently accepted into the Western Slope Dark Sky Coalition as a member. So that allows us to get more funding opportunities for dark sky program, and support like from other communities as well. So yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
We just found that out today. I'm probably stealing Sarah Moore's thunder on announcing it.
Oh, no.
Exciting.
Well, just like, you know, it wouldn't be like if there was an active citizen participation, you know, wouldn't be that hard to walk around and be like, hey, just so you know.
Yeah.
But without that, it's a lot harder.
Hmm.
I'm fine with 10. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, see, I don't see a need to change it to 5. I'm comfortable with 10.
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to have it done in 5, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's.
Yeah. Okay.
something that we should change without
We don't have incentive program.
being out, yeah.
Like that.
That's great. And you guys, there's nothing stopping you from going faster or encouraging the community to go faster. So if, you know, if this really gains traction or you get funding, great, that's fabulous. But then you have a little flexibility if you need more time.
Right.
Okay. Awesome. We will leave that at 10. So a little bit out of order here, just because the next one is really a discussion with our town attorney here. We heard from the planning commission that there's a little concern with updating the historic design standards or the builder's handbook. I think maybe.
Oh, there. We went out for a second.
Lucy, you want to fill this one in?
Yeah, sure. So there were some concerns.
Oh, we got you back. We lost
We
you
lost
for
you for a second, Shay.
Sorry, guys, am I back?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. So we're replacing with the Secretary of Interior standards. Hopefully you heard that part, the standards for rehab. This is something that's more widely understood by preservation professionals. So it's kind of more commonly accepted. It might make it easier for people, and it will still allow.
All right, Liz, take this
Okay.
one over.
Okay. So there are some concerns that we are removing the historic building design standards in the builder's handbook. But what we wanted to reiterate is that we are replacing this with the Secretary of the Interior's guidelines for rehabilitation, which is a more commonly known document in the building and architecture community. And yeah, just wanted to reiterate that. And Shay, if you want to add anything to that.
We might want to allow her phone to talk real quick.
Oh, okay. And yeah, wanted to talk about that with the board, make sure everyone understood that, and take some time to hear any thoughts or feedback you have about what we've proposed in the land use code in terms of replacing the historic design standards in the builder's handbook.
This is around the first bullet point in that email. What process of notifying property owners? Or are we talking about something different?
I think the concern with updates to historic design standards in the builder's handbook.
Okay, great.
That's right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So what we did is we replaced what was previously in our code as historic design standards and the builder's handbook. We replaced that with the Secretary of the Interior's guidelines on rehabilitation, which is a commonly used document by builders and by architects. And so we've essentially just replaced what our standards were before with this very commonly used standard and resource.
Do we know what the specific concerns were with updating it to the builder's handbook?
The specific concerns were really that it was taken out. I think some people had a misunderstanding that there were no standards, which is not the case. We do have the Secretary of the Interior's standards kind of included in our code, or referenced in our code, I should say.
Okay.
Can I just jump in and say there was no actual action item here? Just reminding everybody that we're in that second part of the list. That is these are topics that came up. So this is just informational for you in case the conversation comes up outside of this meeting.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Awesome. So it sounds like no concerns there and we can kind of move forward. Does that sound okay?
That's okay with me.
Awesome. And I'm so sorry for my connection, you guys. Thanks for allowing the phone to talk. The last thing is really to pass over to the town attorney and have a discussion here with the town. So the process for notifying property owners whose zoning is changing as part of this process. So there are some properties that are kind of being rezoned through this process. And we have spent actually quite a bit of time going back and forth trying to sort out how to best approach this noticing of that. So I will pass it over maybe to you, Gloria, to start.
Yes, so, oh, Clay's on, never mind. You can pass it over to Clay. Sorry, I was just texting with him to get on, so we're good.
What good timing.
Clay, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking about the planning commission in their review of the land use code and their concerns about noticing property owners. And was
Okay.
wondering if you could help us explain our noticing procedure for the land use code moving forward.
For the entire land use code or for when we rezone after the new land use code is in place?
The rezoning, or either for you, for the trustees' knowledge.
Okay, so. Okay, there's two different things going on here. I'll talk about it in, I guess, two different avenues. One avenue is, let's talk about the LUC first. Is that okay, Gloria, like the big picture?
Yes.
'Cause I'm sorry that I wasn't on until now. So I don't have the background of what you talked about. So if I go over something or I'm being redundant, I apologize in advance. So with the LUC, even though we are technically rezoning large areas and I mean basically the whole town by the looks of it, it doesn't trigger our typical rezoning notification process because it's from case law, it's considered to be a legislative action and not a quasi judicial function of the town in a rezoning matter affecting just individual or small groups of property and landowners. Because the LUC is a vast, all-encompassing legislative decision, meaning it, we're basically passing an enormous law to vacate and rezone a bunch of property as well as put in the infrastructure for the code itself and are promulgating law. It doesn't have the same effect as it would say if we were rezoning a small zone within the town, going from like say an industrial to a commercial or a commercial to an R2, et cetera, where only certain small groups of landowners or property owners were affected, necessitating the entire notification process, which, mailing, signposting, goes to the planning commission, goes to, for a hearing, and then is published in the newspaper, and then eventually is appealable, all that. That just isn't going to happen with the rezoning for the LUC. And I can get into more detail if you want regarding those aspects, the aspects of the law and why it's a legislative function, not quasi judicial, or you can take my word for it and I won't bore you with case law and statutory resuscitation. Any questions on the LUC? For those who have been in on these conversations, did I miss anything that you think I should touch on for the commissioners and for the trustees? Good. I got a thumbs up from Trustee Harper and Lucy. Oh, Ms. Garvin.
Clay, thanks, Mr. Buckner. So the question that did come up at Planning Commission, and you have explained this to us on conversations, is should we do extra? Should we do more? And I remember you explaining that we want to stick to really to the letter of the law here, and maybe you want to go over that with everybody. We haven't discussed that.
For the LUC?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Yeah, so because I mean, and correct me if we had a different conversation. My take on it is not to try to pull some sort of hybrid notification process in where we go about notifying persons affected by the LUC rezoning. For example, if we decide like, hey, let's send out a letter to everybody and tell them that we're rezoning under this legislative paradigm, because the legislative paradigm doesn't require that we do. So my concern is that if we try to take pieces of the rezoning, from a quasi judicial standpoint, try to fit it into our legislative basket, it's gonna be clunky, and it's going to create precedent that we don't want, and it's also going to possibly invoke or trigger scrutiny that we don't need or want as well, because we'd be kind of making it up. We wouldn't be following any statutory guideline, and we'd be basically placing rules and parameters on ourselves that don't exist in the law. And so my advice on the LUC rezoning is to notice it like any other change in legislation. So we just follow the ordinance notification requirement strictly, and we don't try to take any extra steps to notify individual property owners as if it's a typical rezoning, but that we treat it like what it is, which is a legislative action on the part of the town. The effect, of course, is going to be a little different, but like I said, it's well settled case law that we would not, if we were challenged, the courts wouldn't consider this a failure for rezoning notification because of how many people are affected by it, and because it is a more of a legislative function and not considered a quasi judicial function of rezoning. Is that what you were looking? Is that okay? I got the thumbs up from Elizabeth. I like that. Okay.
Questions on that?
Awesome. Well, that's the list of questions here that kind of stemmed from the Planning Commission. What other questions, comments, what else do you guys want to talk about?
Was there any final consensus on the height of the buildings in the new zoning areas? If we're increasing that or keeping it the same?
I heard from some excited fourth graders that were at the meeting that they were happy to hear the planning commission agrees with their standpoint, which is that the building height should not be raised.
Yeah.
It's a secondhand report from a 9-year-old.
Unbiased and trusted source.
Yep, that is accurate.
Good, okay, great.
Those who attended, anything else of note? I feel really bad for not attending now.
Jim, Ron?
But covered it. Did you think of anything, Jim?
No, that's about it. I mean, we've had discussions that we've discussed time and time again, but no, that was the meat and potatoes of it.
Can I ask a few questions around the prohibition of open composting for greenhouse? Like, is that a smell thing?
So that one probably belongs in our nuisance code if we wanted to address it, is where I would recommend that to go. But it did get brought up by the planning commission.
Okay,
Because we were talking about greenhouses and then they started talking about compost, so.
okay,
Imagine that could be
Like a
related
bear
to the
thing.
bear issue too.
got it.
I know that's why Durango doesn't.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Mhm. And the kennels, no dogs barking is what it sounds like. Is that
They had some legitimate concerns about where a kennel can go.
I mean, I hear dogs from all the way across town.
Okay.
And then, I mean, the duplexes in R1 seems to be a continuing conversation.
Yeah, I was just wondering that too.
Yes, and we wrote this code based on our master plan, which is pretty explicit on that one. But they did bring it up to allow.
Sorry.
Yeah. And I feel like we discussed it recently too about duplexes and but not increasing the square footage of,
Yeah. I'm still in favor of allowing it.
me too.
And so this is kind of our last work session before you see it in front of you as an adoption. So I just kind of wanted to kind of remind you all if you had any burning like issues with it, to bring that up now.
No, I guess my only thing is I want to learn more about, vacation rentals in the BP zone and we're gonna limit that to a certain number. So that's what I would be in favor for. I have concerns about it, again, being written so broadly of just multiple.
And right now it's not.
If it goes through like that, yes.
Melina, did you just send me one that says that Uray only allows one in their business district?
Mhm.
Yeah, they only allow.
Across the board in Uray, they allow a single permit per owner.
Is their business district also just like Main Street?
It doesn't even differentiate between districts. It just says one permit per owner, per vacation rental.
So,
That makes sense, like,
Ordinance 2024.
does that make sense in our, like, yeah, the business is Yeah, and I'll also say CML just requested a lot of data from every municipality in Colorado. So we should have a lot of data on that in the near future. On vacation rental specifically is what CML requested. Things like, do you limit it to one
Yeah.
permit per person, et cetera.
okay.
Yeah, my only thing is that our duplexes in R1, I think I'd be fine with our duplexes in R1 and not just banning them to Hillside or. If we're like, our goal is housing.
Yeah.
Say it again, I freaking love my fourplex. It's warm. Those are great.
Yeah, I agree with the duplex, as long as we're keeping the same square footage of that floor plan as all other R1 houses. And we're not making an exception for duplexes.
Seems like your rate does assess an additional tax for units. I'm just reading off of their information sheet here. The city recently approved an additional 15% excise tax for all units that are not taxed at a commercial tax rate. So that's.
They also just raised their water and sewer rates.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
One rate at a time.
They might have more powers because they are home rule versus statutory.
Oh,
Got it.
is that something that we can do later? Because we're working on our home rule.
We do have to have a population size in order to go there. I did attend one of the home rule, actually Melina and I attended a home rule session at CML and learned that we are lacking the population to actually start that process. So was it 800?
Between 800 and 1,000.
Yeah.
Minimum permanent residence.
We're getting close.
That's discriminatory.
Getting so close.
Another couple of years.
Tim?
Isn't there also a hefty fee involved in switching over?
Just the legalities of it. So legally there's fees.
I'll just say something real quick. When you guys are ready to talk more about that, there's a big difference, obviously between taxes and fees, and there's a lot of towns that take the opportunity to use like affordable housing fees with short-term rentals that don't require voting and excise taxes and increase in taxes that trigger Tabor and voting requirements. And I've been involved with a few municipalities and lawsuits. Some won and some lost at the beginning of the kind of short-term rental boom, when it was kind of the Wild West and certain towns you could do whatever they want. And then the Supreme Court case came out that said that residential properties couldn't be taxed as commercial properties, and it kind of caused a deluge of corporations and rich second, third, fourth homeowners to turn their residential properties into short-term rentals, and then kind of the aftermath of municipalities and counties attempting to regulate that, and then make money on it. The people who are, taking advantage of making money on a residential property and paying, or using residential property for commercial use and only paying residential taxes. So there is money there, and there's ways to do it, and there's ways to kind of if you're going to allow and be more liberal with the allowing vacation rentals, then there's a way to turn that into revenue for the town and for affordable housing, especially because there's a predetermined nexus between housing availability and short-term rentals. And so there's allowable fees that you can redirect into affordable housing and other things for Silverton if they so choose. Just a food for thought.
Great.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I think that would answer my biggest concern about, opening the possibility for people to have a lot of short-term rentals, is just the idea that maybe we could recoup basically what we're losing, and effectively, not having the tax base that like a commercial business would be paying on a commercial property. I mean, I don't know if that's not really us directly, but
It'd definitely be a way to fund some of the affordable housing initiatives, which is always a struggle.
But that's only if we're a home rule, we can do that, or
No, I think he's saying that we
can do that.
can do it without being a home rule, right? So it's a
Yes.
fee. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it has nothing to do with our status as home rule or statutory. It's just has to do with differentiating between, you can pass a tax too, but there's ways to do it without going through voting processes. Of course, taxes are are better, and I mean, I don't say better. They typically generate more income, and they're a little more stable of an income stream, and more you can project better what revenues you might have from them. But you can do either. So you can do a tax and a fee, or just a fee. You can do both, and it doesn't necessitate the municipality being home rule to put some of those fees in place. So you can put a pillow tax,
Yeah.
with your STR code. Well, pillow fee, not a tax.
Can we see what other towns are doing there?
Yeah, and we do it as a lodger's fee, and we can do one, but yeah, we can definitely see what other towns are doing.
It's kind of interesting. What if it's like scalable? It's like you have 2 properties, pay this fee, 4 properties, pay another fee. I'd like, just incentivizing not buying out 10 properties and taking over all of Blair with Airbnbs.
There's some places that do it per bedroom. So you pay a fee, you pay your permit, then you pay like a affordable housing fee. That's like $250, $500 per bedroom for the year.
That's great.
So you can generate, depending on how many STRs you have, you can generate quite a bit of income for certain things. There has to be a nexus for the fee. But like I said, it's already been predetermined that affordable housing projects are a nexus to STR fees.
And just to think about how that works with this code and this update, I think I'm just trying to think of like the logistics and timing. I'm not sure that is something that would be sorted in time or the adoption draft, or is that something we're wanting to get addressed before this goes and is ready for adoption?
What I would recommend to the board is if we wanted to, like we did, we took out RVs from this land use code and having, we'll have some work sessions this spring on that. It might be worthwhile to keep it at 1 and then have some work sessions to see if we want to increase it.
I'd like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm. I think it deserves more thought and consideration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we do that then? And keep it at 1 for now?
Of course. Yeah, I feel like with that tax conversation or the fee conversation, that's a good option because then you can learn more and make the decision based on where you go with that instead of like picking a number based on a best practice, which is fine. But that would be a more comprehensive conversation to revisit all of that.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Shay, I didn't mean to, I probably scared you there throwing that in the mix. I'm not suggesting that we write it into the LUC now. I think it's really important to have a really good infrastructure. And just like any of our other like major chapters and sections of our ordinance, it's up to the board to amend, improve, repeal, and kind of, work, but you have to have a good infrastructure. And I think we really have a strong base with this new LUC.
Great. Yeah, I'd like to keep it at 1 for now then.
Great.
Anything else, you guys?
Any questions on the zoning map in front of you?
No?
I feel like I should know this, but PUD 1, what is that building?
Let me see.
On Reese and 13th? That corner building.
That's the yellow, it's like Silverton Lodge or something.
Is that?
Thing.
No, you're right, it is Silverton Lodge. Okay, yep. Sorry, I couldn't picture it in my head.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Lindsay. Yeah, so the one you're referring to is Silverton Lodge. And besides Anvil, the 3 other PUDs included on the map refer to what was a limited rezoning. So before someone could go through a rezoning process for just their property. And so we have a few instances of that in our town. And so those, what you see as PUD 1, 2, 3, those refer to limited rezonings, and then the ordinance number is attached. So anyone could go back and look up that ordinance to figure out what it is and if it's still in effect.
The other ones kind of like make sense in my head and I just couldn't figure out. Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
I think we have what we need in the questions we went through. If there's anything else, let us know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Take a couple minutes, and then our housing authority meeting, will start here. Do you guys need a couple minutes here and we can reconvene at 6:33? Does that work? Yes. Okay. All right.
Okay, Mayor Cranker is out today and Jim is out there in the world, so thought I could open up the meeting today. This is the Silverton Housing Authority. It is 6:35 and we'll do roll call.
Trustee Albertson?
Here.
Trustee Wakefield?
Here.
Trustee Schnitger?
Here.
Trustee Gardner?
Here.
Trustee George?
Here.
Pro Tem Harper?
Here.
Okay, Anne?
Hi, everyone. Melina, could you promote Jack and Bleecker to panelists, please? Hope you all are doing well this evening. Two items on the agenda. The first one is seeking board approval to create a single purpose entity for the Annville Townhome project. And so we're recommending a single purpose entity or an LLC for the project because it's standard practice in real estate to develop like a single entity to keep the like liabilities and the risks associated with a development separate from the organization. And so if we create an LLC, we're protecting the Silverton Housing Authority from any of the potential risks involved with development, real estate development, and specifically the Annville townhomes. And so what this looks like is starting an LLC. The Silverton Housing Authority would be the 100% owner of the entity and serve as the manager. And what that looks like from an accounting standpoint is that the LLC would be disregarded. So in that instance, it would be sort of under the same umbrella of the Silverton Housing Authority. And in the packet, there's a little bit of an flow chart or an organizational chart of how this would look like. And there's a different version of this now. It's pretty similar, but basically it'd be the Silverton Housing Authority creating an LLC. That LLC would enter into an agreement with Fading West, who's the modular manufacturer in Buena Vista. The LLC would take out any debt for the project. Then the LLC would enter into an agreement with Tributary Development, who's our developer for this project. So everything is all going to funnel through the LLC, and basically that just keeps the whole project management and financials really clean, sort of put together as one. Guess I will open it up to any questions if anyone has any. But really what I'm seeking here is a motion to approve the 2024-04 resolution to create a single purpose entity.
Yeah, I have no opposition. Matt, anyone else?
Nope.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2024-04, a resolution of the Housing Authority of the Town of Silverton for the creation of a single purpose entity.
Second.
Trustee Albertson?
Yes.
Trustee Wakefield?
Yes.
Trustee Schnitger?
Yes.
Trustee Gardner?
Yes.
Trustee George?
Yes.
And Pro Tem Harper?
Yes.
Great. The next item on the agenda is financing, approval for financing for a 10% deposit for the Fading West modular construction. So what this looks like is Fading West has a production lineup every year. And so this would be a 10% deposit of the total project cost to hold our place in their production line. We are still fleshing out the final version of the supply agreement. But the really important factor here is that there is a provision that states that this 10% deposit is refundable if we are not awarded the gap funding that we need in order for this project to actualize. So that's the Proposition 123 funding through DOLA, and then the Colorado Health Foundation funding, which combined equal about $1 million. So that's good. So what I'm proposing is I've been working with Region 9 Economic Development and have been working on submitting a loan application for the deposit amount, which is $147,314. And the repayment options for this, well, first let me back up, hang on. 7% interest rate, which is like 0.72% less than the Federal Reserve rate currently. So we're getting a little bit of a deal there. And the term is 6 months. And so that 6-month term with the 7% interest rate is approximately $5,200 in interest. So the repayment scenarios here are if the gap funding is awarded, the Region 9 loan and the interest, the principal and the interest will be assumed by the senior construction loan, which is expected to close in April if all goes well. And if we're not awarded the funding through the state or the Colorado Health Foundation, that 10% deposit will be refunded from Fading West back to the Silverton Housing Authority. And then the accrued interest would be covered by the Silverton Housing Authority's 2025 budget. And so in order to proceed with the Region 9 application, need board approval to both proceed with the loan, but also permission for me to execute the loan agreement on behalf of the Silverton Housing Authority. And so, yeah, this is just a pivotal step to maintaining our timeline, making sure that we're guaranteeing our spot in the Fading West production line, but we also have our backup options if it doesn't work out. And for this, I just need an approval or direction or motion to approve. There we go. A motion to approve securing loan financing with Fading West and authorization for me to execute the loan. Any questions?
I think we talked about this last meeting. I don't have any other questions. Anyone else or?
It seems like these loan terms are going to be roughly the terms that you're expecting on the actual loan. Like, do you expect there could be any change?
So there could be change. The loan committee meets December 11th. So once they review the application, they'll provide an actual term sheet. It is possible that the interest rate would increase. But since we're a housing authority, they've been doing a lower interest rate for nonprofits and housing authorities. So I think the biggest, there is a chance that it could increase to 7.72% interest, but rather than 7%. Is that your question, Carl?
Yeah, thanks, Ann.
All right. I'll make a motion to approve securing loan financing for the Fading West 10% deposit and authorize Ann Chase to execute such loan.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustee Halverson,
Yes.
trustee Wakefield,
Yes.
trustee Schnitker,
Yes.
trustee Gardner,
Yes.
trustee George,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper.
Yes.
Great. And then I think I'll just add two things. This is off script, but since we have some extra time. One, the DOH application is due on Monday. And so we are making good progress on getting this completed. We'll have an idea towards the end of December if we're moving on to the next round. It has to go through multiple stages of approval. And then official award would be expected at the end of January, early February. And then the second item is we applied to the Colorado Housing and Finance Authority for funding for an ADU pattern book. So this would be like pre-approved plans for accessory dwelling units to help promote housing development for affordable housing in Silverton, and we got awarded $14,000. So that's very exciting.
Hey.
Yeah, more on that to come later. But that is all I had for this official Silverton Housing Authority meeting. And then I think we did have public comment if we wanted to open that up.
Yeah, should we open up for public comment?
Sure, yeah. Anyone online? Does not appear.
Okay, guess we can close public comment. Okay.
Alrighty.
We wrap it up early then? Just. All right, great.
Thanks, Anne.
Thanks, I'll be back in a second.
All right. Right, so it's 6:47 and we'll adjourn this meeting and reconvene at 7 o'clock for our regular meeting. Okay, I am gonna start the meeting as Mayor Cranker is out and Jim is off in the world and asked me to open this meeting up. So this is the Board of Trustees meeting on November 25th. It's 7:01. We can begin. We will do roll call. Pledge and then roll call. Sorry, pledge, then roll call. Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, now we'll do roll call.
Trustee Halverson?
Here.
Trustee Wakefield?
Here. Here.
Trustee Gardner?
Here.
Trustee George?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper?
Here.
Great. Any staff or board revisions?
There are no staff revisions.
Great. All right, let's open it up to public comment. I can keep time for us. You have 3 minutes. Any in-person public comment?
Come on. All right, podiums.
Hello, Gilbert Archuleta, live here in Silverton. I'm here to just make a couple of comments. I think that, it couldn't make the last board meeting. I was out of town when the $103,000 was given up in fees for the affordable housing. I just have a hard time accepting it. I understand that we need affordable housing, but at the same time, when all of our utility bills are possibly going to be going up 105% after next meeting, when you do the water rate sewer study. And when that happens, it's just doesn't make much sense to give 103,000. The town's given 150,000 prior to this for water and sewer taps, and yet our enterprise funds are depleting. So I can't quite understand why we keep giving when we need the funds in water and sewer. So I'm just voicing that. I think there needs to be a better accountability on the hours and the time that's spent in utility departments as far as how they're managed. I think there's more hours that are being allocated to water and sewer, which is depleting our enterprise funds. We had a memo or thing came out, I believe it was in August, that was showing that there was approximately around 30% of the time that Public Works was spending in each water and sewer. Now the final reports are showing that we're up to they're around 60% of the time. I think it needs to be a more accurate number. There's ways of doing it. It was done in the past where the Public Works Director every month or every 2 weeks reported on his report, gave the hours that were spent, water, sewer, streets, maintenance, so they could be tracked all year. And I think it needs to get back to that. This community, and myself included, cannot afford for these rates to keep going up. And I'm pretty sure, can't guarantee it, but I'm sure after the first of the year, we'll have another increase in refuse fees because we can't afford that either. So at some point in time, it's an increase in all that, increase in facility fees, increase. And we got a budget that needs to be trimmed. And I'm not saying that nobody deserves pay increases, but I believe that if it's a year, as of this year, like this year, I think it should be looked at. And the cost of living raises are passed this year too. If it says 30,000, if you're asking the community to give 105,000, 105% increase in refuse fees, water and sewer fees, then I can't see how we could just decide to give this and give that and not try to lower that bottom number in the budget.
That's 3 minutes. Thank you.
What's that?
That was 3 minutes. Sorry,
I thought I got 3 minutes.
Yep, you got 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. I got 1 minute left.
No, you used your 3 minutes.
Okay. I've used it all?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Wesley Burr, a Silverton resident. And I wanted to comment briefly on the proposed fee increase. I believe you're going to be discussing that for the 2025 fee schedule. Specifically, I want to talk about the special event vendor permit fee. First of all, I want to clarify because it gets a little confusing, which is different than a special event permit and it's different than a vendor fee. This is on if you had some sort of event, like we're going to be doing the mistletoe market or something like that, or whatever, the vendors there would have to pull a permit and pay a fee to do that. So I'm a small business owner, photographer, and a vendor. I've vended a number of different events here in town and elsewhere. And I also, this year, I also participated in some events in Ridgeway and Paonia. And so the events in Ridgeway and Paonia, those markets or whatever, have been going on for 20 some years or whatever, are well-established events. And for those small towns, those are huge economic input or whatever, deal to those towns or whatever. And I really would like to see that sort of thing, us to be able to grow and have those sort of things here in Silverton. And it's, we've had some events and it's like, but it takes time to grow those. For the vendors that participate though, there's a lot of hurdles, especially for some of our small vendors. Navigating all the sales tax stuff, getting licensed, getting a point of sale to collect things, and then going through dealing with the state can be quite a challenge at times. As I learned recently when I got bills for $1,000 from Grand Junction and $500 from Lakewood, even though I had no sales. There's also things like booth fees, which actually then end up paying for organizer costs. That includes like the special event permit and things like that, marketing and all the organizational things that go on. Of course, artists have inventory costs. You have to build a bunch of inventory to have that. You have to have that all in stock. Tent tables, displays, et cetera. And so I've actually helped as a volunteer for this. I've tried to help a number of vendors, and it's just like I've had several that said I just can't, do all that or whatever. So the special event vendor fee that Silverton has. I hope some of you got the letter that I emailed to you. If not, I have some copies. I did some research or whatever on some other towns that have a similar fee. I actually struggled to find towns that had another fee because most towns don't have a permit fee requirement for vendors. So for a special event organizer, they would. The most expensive I could find was Telluride Mountain Village that charged $25 for their arts festival. Our current multi-day is $50. And so the bottom line is like, it's a big ask, and I really hope that you won't raise that fee and make it so tough for our vendors. Thank you.
Thanks, Wes.
Any more in-person public comment?
Yes, my name is Kevin Baldwin, resident, local business owner. A couple things. I was here, I don't know, a couple months back. We were talking about water increase rates. You had your consultant here. And at the time, there was a little confusion over which way we were going to go with EQRs or water meters. The EQR system is an estimate only. It's not accurate. If you want accuracy, you got to have water meters. The town has been derelict in keeping their water meters up, and we need to get those fixed. And that's my opinion. You take it for what you want. You need to get the water meters going so you know where your water is going as far as its usage, and then consider a rate increase. We know that there's a structured rate increase that came back in, I think it's 2017. You can still follow that. That'd be a small increase. We all expected that and knew that was being considered. Another thing, we need to have a way to do it equitably. I have a commercial building on Reed Street, but the water I have is just for a single bathroom. It's a 3/4 bath. It has a shower, a sink, and a toilet, and that's it. I should not be paying commercial rates for something so simple because the building has not had water in it. It was built in 1905 for about 115 years. I just did it recently because I spent a lot of time there. And then my final thing, raises, this money's been thrown around like Halloween candy. I understand people need to make a living. I've been there myself. As I've said before, I work for government. When things get tight with government, your salaries freeze. That's just the way it works. We were frozen for 7 years and then we got a 3 to 4% when they finally released the reins, and it was based on performance. This just handing out raises is unacceptable by any business standard. Thank you for your time.
Terry Rhodes, I've lived here all my life. I'm not gonna be here 3 minutes. I'm just here to say I agree with Kevin and Gilbert 100%. 100% raise is gonna hurt everybody in town. So I hope you guys will really look at it before you do vote on it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Roy Marino. Yeah, that's EQRs, the raise that much, you're raising everybody's rent and everything else by $200 a month. When you do that, you keep talking about affordable living and whatever, but a raise that big at this time, all at once, just hurts everybody. Thanks.
Okay. Want to go to, we're done with in person, you go to virtual?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Am I allowed to comment on anything, or does it have to be part of the specific agenda?
This is just open public comment, so you can make any comment you wish.
Thank you. Okay, so first of all, my utmost respect to the Board of Trustees. I appreciate the time and effort you put on behalf of the town of Silverton. Actually listen to these meetings at 2x speed, and it's hard for me to go through all of them. So you guys attending them is a lot of work. I would like to comment on the discussion regarding RVs in the town of Silverton. I love Silverton, and the worst thing that could happen is for Silverton to eventually disappear like many historic mining towns. For this reason, I believe tourism is a crucial and to the ongoing health and future of the town of Silverton. Unfortunately, seasonal businesses and most importantly, workers are largely unrepresented in this forum. First, my experience. In my experience, we rented a permanent dwelling from January through May in Silverton. However, to continue renting the same home during the summer would have cost more than $10,000 per month, which is more than we could afford. At the end of the lease, we had no choice but to either leave Silverton or move into an RV. We chose the latter. When we moved back into the RV, we inquired at several RV parks. One RV park declined and another requested more than $2,500 per month for a space. RVs for seasonal workers do not cost $150,000, and most seasonal workers probably could not afford $2,500 per month for a parking space or to rent a permanent dwelling, which is likely not even available or practical. I know of 2 seasonal workers who worked at Lacey Rose and the blacksmith shop. They would come home sometimes having earned nothing that day, and if they were not able to come back to Silverton due to decisions of the board, a local restaurant and local business may not have the resources necessary to support the tourists that come on the train. And without the tourism industry, I fear that restaurants and stores that we all appreciate could eventually be forced to close and eventually harm the core viability of the town that we love. As indicated, there has only been one complaint of a sewage spill in 3 years. In addition, most of the RVs do not need a 50 or 30 amp plug since they are not running air conditioners, and a 20 amp plug with a GFMDI circuit breaker should help prevent electrical issues, including overloading. I believe based on the previous meetings that the biggest concern is how the RVs look. I would like to request on behalf of a large part of our community that is largely unrepresented at this meeting, some of which kids go to Silverton School for at least part of the year, that the board walk carefully as they move forward with these decisions and possibly delay some of the decisions until seasonal workers and businesses are available to provide public comment and feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Hello?
Hi.
We can
This
hear
is,
you.
first, Sarah, thank you for placing the Silverton Memorial Park sign at the park bridge. It looks wonderful. If you haven't seen the photograph, she's got a great photograph. And I want to thank CDOT for coming through for us on Blair Street. CDOT has always been a very good partner to Silverton and San Juan County. Third, OHV discussion. You guys are insane. The last time we had the board make a decision on anything to do with OHVs, it went to an immediate recall. My advice is you make no decision and let it be a citizen initiative. The recall in that time period was one of the most vicious things I've seen in this town in my 45 years. Thank you.
Thanks, Melody.
Thank you.
Any more comment? Okay. We'll close public comment and move to new business. So first agenda item. Lucy?
So this is the public hearing.
Oh, great.
Yep, I'm sorry, I was just sending you that over, but so we'll hear from Lucy. Lucy will walk us through it, but we'll hear from staff first.
Any presentations today or?
No, no presentation. Except for Lucy's.
Okay, thank you. Can you all hear me and see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yes, so this is a public hearing. This is a request by the Silverton Housing Authority to deviate from the Anvil Mountain Development Guide dimensional standards for their development of 9 affordable housing units at lot 15 through 17 of the Anvil Mountain subdivision. So as you know, the Silverton Housing Authority Board and the Board of Trustees are comprised of the same members, which are you all. So with this request creates a unique situation where the town gets to decide whether it should deviate from its own standards. The Anvil Mountain subdivision is also unique for several reasons. It is specifically dedicated and restricted to the development of dense affordable housing. Its plat does not follow the town's traditional plat layout. And the planned unit development guide associated with the subdivision does not align with the town's typical zoning standards. Additionally, this project operates on a timeline that could be affected by the adoption of the future land use code. Due to these unique factors, the request has been brought before the Board of Trustees for consideration. And so staff has prepared a full staff report for this, which is in your packet, and a full presentation as well, which I'll try to get through quickly. So this project involves lot 15, 16, and 17 of the Anvil Mountain subdivision. The zoning regulations for this planned unit development are detailed in the Anvil Mountain Development Guide, which has been included in your packet for reference. And the applicant for this project is the Silverton Housing Authority, which is proposing the construction of 9 new affordable units to help address Silverton's housing needs. So based on the project timeline, the Silverton Housing Authority is preparing a site plan that aligns with the standards proposed in the future land use code. So while there are a few requested deviations, the proposed development standards have been carefully designed to fit the flexible provisions in the proposed land use code. And these provisions recognize unique situations and support affordable housing projects. Specifically, proposed land use code section 15830, administrative adjustments for affordable housing. This section allows up to a 35% deviation from zoning regulations to address site-specific challenges like size, shape, area, topography, or surrounding conditions, as well as proposed land use code section 15260A, exceptions and encroachments. And this section is not limited to affordable housing projects, but this section allows for certain building or site features to extend into required setbacks. However, to meet the requirements of a Department of Housing grant application, the project's potential funding source, the Silverton Housing Authority is requesting approval for these deviations now rather than waiting for the adoption of the new land use code. So typically a request like this would go before the Board of Adjustments and their decision would be recorded through a resolution. However, in this unique situation and under the Colorado revised statutes, the Board of Trustees may transfer this authority to themselves and make the determination directly. To make a determination, the board should establish the following. One, an exceptional practical difficulty exists in relation to the request, and two, that granting the deviation does not conflict with the intent of the code or negatively impact public good. I also want to clarify that approving this deviation request today does not mean that the entire project is approved. Instead, the Silverton Housing Authority will use the board's determination to prepare application materials for a minor plat amendment, a simple subdivision and site plan, and a final plat for the proposed townhomes. The project will still need to meet all other applicable standards, including townwide design standards and townhome specific standards. Elements such as roof pitch, roof overhang, drainage plans, and snow storage will be reviewed during the site plan process. That being said, the scope of today's review is limited to the deviation request, which will guide the next steps of the application process. So the proposed deviations and all dimensional standards are listed in your board packet and will also be displayed on your screen for all of the 9 lots. Would you like me to go through each individual deviation, or would you like me to do more of a general overview? That's a question for the board.
Okay with the general overview. Anyone
Okay.
else?
Let's do a general overview.
All right. Sounds good. So on your screen is lot 15. Silverton Housing Authority is proposing a single family dwelling here, and they are requesting side and front setbacks. We should also note that the setbacks are measured from the farthest protrusion of the porch rather than the structure itself, which is how setbacks are currently measured. And as I stated earlier, that will adjust a little bit, or that's proposed to adjust a little bit in the land use code under exceptions and encroachments. The Silverton Housing Authority is proposing townhomes on lot 16 and 17. Eventually, these lots will need to be subdivided, and they intend to wait until the proposed land use code is completed so they can go through the simple subdivision process rather than the lengthy subdivision process we have now. So what you will see in your packet and on the board reflect what is proposed following the subdivision process in terms of the dimensional standards. And so you'll see for lot 16, they're proposing 4 single unit attached townhome units, and they have positioned the townhomes pretty much as far away as they can from the street while still giving the adjacent structure some room in between the units, and that will help with open space and with snow storage. Lot 17 is also 4 units. And I should note that since the packet went out, the Silverton Housing Authority team has realized they need a bit more flexibility for the interior lots. So they are now requesting a minimum lot size of 900 square feet for lots F and G. And this does not change planning or public works or the building department's analysis of the request. And if the board is in favor of this, that change should be noted in the motion. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. And at lot 17, you'll see that it's also positioned to give as much room to between the units in the street as possible without compromising space in between the units and the houses behind the townhomes. And the parking has been put on the south side of the property, which is helpful for solar and melting the snow, and gives that parking space, gives everyone a parking space, each unit a parking space. in analyzing the request, staff has found site-specific constraints, including lot shapes. Staff finds that the unusual shapes of lot 16 and 17 create practical difficulties and pose constraints on development. Setbacks and parking. Because the streets in Annville are relatively narrow compared to the rest of town, they're 65 feet wide. The development guide requires larger setbacks to allow for off-street parking and for snow storage than in the rest of the town. And so to mitigate the impacts of the requested deviation, the Silverton Housing Authority plans to provide 1 off-street parking space per unit and include on-site snow storage. So the Public Works Department has reviewed this request and has commented on the impacts on road maintenance, traffic congestion, drainage, and snow storage. John's comments are on the screen and in your packet, and he acknowledges the impacts, but ultimately doesn't find that they're so significant that this project shouldn't be approved, and ultimately recommends approval. Additionally, I spoke to Bevan, and he's reviewed all the plans and commented that the buildings will, of course, need to meet all applicable building and fire codes. And based on these plans, he doesn't have any concerns that they wouldn't be able to meet those codes. This project also aims to provide a public good, affordable housing, which is outlined as a priority in the 2022 Compass Master Plan, the 2021 Housing Market Study, and most recently, the 2024 Citizen Survey responses, which put affordable housing as the #2 priority for town. This project also fulfills the town's Proposition 123 commitment by completing the remaining affordable housing units within the required time frame. And this ensures eligibility for additional funding in the future. So based on these findings, staff recommends approval for the deviation request as presented, with the condition that the minimum lot sizes for lot 17E and lot 17G be reduced to 900 square feet. So following the applicant comment, public comment, and board discussion, the Board of Trustees may transfer the authority to the Board of Adjustments to themselves to approve the request as presented, approve the request with conditions, table for additional review, or deny the request. And you have sample motions in your packet. And so now I will hand it back over to the board to call upon the applicant to speak, and then I'll be here for any questions.
Thank you, Lucy. The applicant is technically Anne. So Anne, do you want to any public comment here?
Sure. And Melina, can you promote Scott to panelist as well? And while we do that, I want to just like sort of zoom out big picture. And when we think about all of the different property that the Silverton Housing Authority owns, so we have the Boxcar apartment site, the Zanoni site, and then this Annville Townhome project. And what we're looking at is the Boxcar site and the Zanoni property have no infrastructure. Boxcar's under engineering right now, but no architect plans. We have conceptual plans, but these projects are like a minimum of 3 years out. And so meanwhile, the Annville sites have infrastructure. We have a plan, we have a need. And so if we think about our community, in the 2021 Housing Needs Assessment, it said at a minimum to accommodate job growth that's predicted in the region, we need at least 22 new units for permanent residents and 14 beds for seasonal surge capacity. So that was in 2021. Time has flown by. We're now in 2024. We're at the end of those 3 years, and 4 new units have been built when we needed 22. So, and then we keep looking at like our master plan, our market study, housing market study, and our 2024 citizen survey. Housing is a top priority. And so we have worked, our RFP was looking for a proposal that maximized the space that was available without sacrificing the livability and we want these to be like really quality units. So this is our best shot to like make a serious impact on housing in Silverton in the near future. And so I think the community need warrants building 9 new units in a single building season. Like the housing authority was established to address our housing problem. And so this is us doing that and sort of making up for lost time here. Like we're still not hitting, we do not have a healthy housing market. So yeah, I think those are my comments. And then the only other thing is that like these lots are curved and weird shaped, and it is really hard to build anything that is like, that makes sense according to the setbacks that are on the platted lots. So I think if you like take a big picture look here, like these units are planned to integrate really well into Anvil. And then I can hand it over to Scott Simmons, who is on our tributary development team. If you have anything that you want to add, Scott.
I'll just add that the lots are challenging in the way that they're structured with the larger front setbacks. I would say that we really tried our best to stay within the administrative adjustments that are possible for the setbacks. So most of the units are falling within that the administrative adjustment that you can have on your setbacks. The two that with the lot areas are 2 interior townhomes, and they're the only 2 that would have those lot sizes that are reduced below that minimum. And then, the porches are a great feature, and we really think that they're really important to the overall character of the neighborhood, but just building a community. So these are deeper porches that are actually usable. You can put a table and chairs out there, and it will build a sense of a neighborhood and community. And we think that's worth having those encroach into that front setback. And it sounds like there's changes coming in the future that would even allow that. It's just not here yet. I think that's all I would add.
Okay. Trustee discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why.
Sorry. I need to go public comment.
Public comment first and then trustee discussion. And then once you open trustee discussion, you can ask the applicant or myself any questions you have.
Thank you for keeping me on agenda. Okay, public comment. Any online? Okay. Seeing none, we'll close public comment and now we will move to trustee discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why we don't approve this. It is a minimal impact, and given the shape of those lots, again, it does present a hardship to build and develop on there. With that minimal impact, we're creating tons of new homes for our workers, for our residents, and I think the trade-off is worth it.
Yeah, I think the applicant has demonstrated why this is necessary and that it supports the character of our town.
Yeah, I think also the only way that you'd be able to use those lots according to the current rules would be to put, single family homes. We wouldn't be able to build as much inventory. So that sort of defeats the purpose of what we're trying to do here.
And what was that 900-foot recommendation again, Lucy, that you're talking about?
Yeah, so in your packet and in the resolution, the interior lots for lot 17, E, F, and G have originally in the site plan, their lot size was planned to be a little over 900 square feet. And since this packet has gone out, that number has adjusted to 900 square feet. And so if you all are in favor of that, we would just want to see that reflected in the motion to essentially amend the resolution to allow for 900 square feet interior lots for lot 17.
Thank you.
And I could just add a little I'm not sure if I can speak, but just to add a little context, I mean, I think, we haven't gone through the full process with subdivision and site plan. And I think the 900 square feet is just there to give us a little bit of wiggle room. I mean, it probably will be close to what's in the packet. But that 900 will give us a little variance in case something changes in the process from now until we get entitled lots.
Thanks. Any other input or comments from anyone?
No? Jim?
I'm behind this 100%. I think we need to get it done. This is good stuff. So thank you.
We're gonna find this.
Yeah. I move to approve the request by Silverton Housing Authority to deviate from the Ample Mountain Development Guide dimensional standards for the development of 9 affordable housing units at lots 15 through 17 Ample Mountain subdivision, with the following conditions: that the interior units F and G on lot 17 have the proposed minimum lot size of 900 square feet.
Second.
Mr. Halverson?
Yes.
Wakefield?
Yes.
Mr. Snicker?
Yes.
Mr. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. George?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper?
Yes.
I'm realizing we just did this after that. Did we also need a motion to redirect the authority, or we're fine to just do the motion?
Yeah, that was just an option, right?
Right. If we want us to move it from, but we don't need to actually make the motion from Board of Adjustments to us. Right?
I think so.
Because that provision is included in the resolution that was approved through that motion, I think you guys are okay.
Okay.
To just have made that motion.
Great. Just want to make sure we're covered there.
Yeah, you're good. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Next agenda item.
Thanks, Lucy. Thanks, Ann.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Thank you all.
Fee schedule. Who's presenting? Oh, Melina. Is it you?
Fee schedule.
Right.
So the biggest changes to the fee schedule are really in the way that we've tried to break it up into departments. There is a link to the old fee schedule in your packet. Before it was really just one really large spreadsheet that was kind of hard to navigate. We've broken it up into departments now so that it's a little bit easier to digest. And then our biggest fee increases are in Parks and Rec, so facility rentals, special events. And then there is a 15% increase across the board in all public works fees. And then we do have a couple of new fees in our planning department. If you have any specific questions for me, I can answer them. We have left a lot of the local fees for facilities the same. We've really increased quite a bit for non-locals. We've identified non-locals following the finance committee meeting as anyone who isn't registered to vote in San Juan County as kind of a baseline. If there are instances where we need to make an exception, we can probably just do that administratively downstairs. Yeah, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I guess I have a question going back to Wes's public comment on the special event vendor permit fees. It wasn't $35 a day before and now it's 55, is that correct?
So it was $35 a day before, and then there was a $50 flat fee if you wanted to have a permit that lasted for the year. So if you wanted to be part of several special events. However, if you already have a business license in town, we don't require you to get a special event permit.
Got it. This is just, okay.
It's really just special event permits vendor permits that we give out to exterior. If someone comes up from Uray and they want to set up a booth at the Mistletoe Market. But for locals that already have business licenses, we don't require vendor permits.
And then locals that don't, but they're still locals, there's never been a discount or anything for them, or?
No, there's never been a discount. It's always been $50 if they want to participate in multiple. After speaking with There was about a $50 increase on all special event fees. That one in particular only raised, I think, $50 because that seemed even more unreasonable. So from $35 to 70, or $85. That seems like a little much.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for the clarification about the business license.
I think thinking in Mayor Cranker's brain of like the zoom out purpose of these new fees is to help keep the town running and functioning and be able to meet a really, really tight budget.
Correct. And again, the majority of the really high increases, which you can speak to this too if you'd like, are in the non-local fees for facilities. We are keeping the fees the same for locals.
Okay.
Yeah. Those are not going up.
Yeah, that's great.
But the non-local price to rent our facilities has gone up quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of pages. Skim through a lot. And then maybe this is me missing it from the last time we talked about the fees and this like, man, what page is this? It's like 56. There's the fee schedule and it's like administrative decision 2. Has that always been like a scale? Sorry, not schedule, scale.
Are you talking about in the planning department?
I think so.
I think that's only in Lucy's. So that didn't exist in our previous fee schedule, but that is something that Lucy proposed in her breakdown of it, because there are things that really don't need to come up here and that things that she can just approve downstairs. And so I think that was her purpose of breaking them out into things that are a little more complicated that you need to see, and then other things that she can handle downstairs.
And we've usually in the past, we've just done it as one administrative decision, one public hearing.
Haven't had that in the past.
It's never been that way.
This is anticipating the new land use code.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's just.
Yeah, it hasn't been broken up that way before.
More just like, if we're requiring public hearings, it seems like we're charging a lot for a public hearing. But I get that it's also like a lot to put this together. So just noting that it's like, as we require more processes, we're also charging for more processes.
But there are in the new land use code a lot more administrative processes that we have streamlined at the same time.
Yeah.
So we're trying to find that balance there.
And it's this, I assume, just came out of a need, not necessarily like there are going to be, potentially more public hearings and needing to find some sort of ability to like facilitate those through a fee.
Yep.
Wait, I think I'm confused on the public hearing. It's $500 for the applicant to have a public hearing?
Look at this.
Sorry, it's on page 56.
I'm just.
And under planning review fee.
Okay.
Planning review fee.
Something else then, I think. Oh, maybe.
It's like the only thing on the page.
And Lucy has her hand up for clarification.
Yeah, I'm still on and happy to talk about those planning fees. In the new land use code, there are different levels of review. So there's, really, really simple administrative review, which doesn't take a lot of time. And then there's really complex projects like a major subdivision process. And so what I did is I looked at other surrounding communities and their planning fees and kind of compared them to ours. And the way we've done things in the past is anytime an application comes into the planning department, whether it's a major subdivision or a really simple review, it's always been $500. So this is just an update to that based on what other communities do and the processes that will go into place with the new land use code.
Thank you for that context, Lucy.
And does this only apply to things that don't have other fees associated, or these would apply to everything? Like if you already pay a fee for like a variance fee, are you also paying these administrative fees on top of that?
I think it depends on the situation. So sometimes we'll get a planning request that requires multiple processes, and sometimes those can be combined. And so it would be just on a case by case basis if it could be combined into one process, or if it would need to if it would need to be reviewed as each individual process, I guess.
Any other thoughts or comments on the fees? I mean, I'm feeling tough. It feels tough because it's like we're getting a lot of comments and we're raising things, making things more expensive, but we also know that there's like a need for the town to raise fees for us to keep operating.
Yeah, and I think that in any way, every way we can, we're trying to cut the costs for locals. As well. Just. Yeah, I'd love to see any increase, but.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm okay with these.
Do we need anything for this? Just a. Sorry, trying to.
Yeah, so a motion to approve the resolution.
Jim, anything? Sorry, I'm really bad at, I can't see all the way over there.
You're doing a masterful job. You're doing a
Thank you.
great job. Don't second guess. You're doing a great job. I did have a quick comment regarding utilities and fees. And our seasoned population. And do we have anything on the books? Do we have any verbiage or comments regarding folks with fixed incomes and our seasoned citizens? Anywhere? Or is that a different discussion?
Are you talking about our senior rates? Is that what you're talking about, as seasoned? I'm trying
Yes, I was trying not to say yes.
I was confused too.
Terms are established, I believe, by resolution, yeah, the season rates.
Did you get that, Jim?
I didn't hear it. I'm sorry.
Yes, there is a resolution that establishes the seasoned rates.
Perfect. Okay. So for folks with fixed incomes and our seasoned citizens, I want to make sure and that they're being taken care of and we're doing something and recognizing the comments, especially this evening. Cool.
Yeah, we won't
Thank
be
you.
getting rid of the senior rate.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed 2025 fee schedule.
Second.
Trustee Halverson?
Yes.
Trustee Wakefield?
Yes.
Trustee Schiffman?
Yes.
Trustee Gardner?
Yes.
Trustee Birch?
Yes.
Member Tim Harper?
Yes.
All right. Ski Touring Partnership Agreement.
And I will present this on behalf of Anna. So this contract is the amended version of 2024 Silverton Ski Touring Agreement. So what they did here was a 5-year term instead of an annual review. It also takes out the monetary contribution and just does in kind and suggests a contribution if the town has funds available. So this is pretty similar to what we've seen in years past with those few exceptions. We do have an estimate in our in-kind donations in your packet. And I can attempt to answer any questions if you'd like.
We went to the 5-year agreement to just not have to do this every year or just to like make this.
Correct. Correct. And you'll see that too reflected in the dog, the dog ranch contract as well and the creative district.
And what did, I know we changed it several times during my tenure, but what was the monetary, what did we give them? Cash wise, but that's written out now.
Well, so it's just saying that if we have funds to spare, basically, they would accept them.
And when would we make that decision?
We would make that during budget decision right now.
Okay.
And that's fine just to do in-kind donations.
And so we would still kind of have to, I mean, we'd revisit this every year during budget season at least.
Yes, we would.
Not a contract, but we would just talk about, okay, what.
An allocation. Yes.
Anyone in opposition? All right, I'll make a motion to approve the contract as presented.
Second.
Trustee Albertson?
Yes.
Trustee Wixley?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Trustee Parker?
Yes.
Trustee George?
Yes.
Tim Harper?
Oh, he's frozen.
You can't hear us.
Muted as well.
I think you're muted.
Can you hear us, Jim?
You're muted.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you now. Sorry.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Sorry.
We were taking a vote on the scheduling contract.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Thank you.
There we go.
Yes. Sorry, guys. There's a big piece of equipment driving by.
The Silverton Creative District Agreement.
All right. It's a very similar agreement the Skidorian agreement as far as in-kind contributions. And what we're proposing here is that we give the Summer Sounds over to the Creative District as a fundraising mechanism, basically. Since we're not contributing money in kind since we're not allocating any money out of our 2025 budget. I also, when I was met with Lisa Branner on this contract, she suggested us drafting a resolution to support the Creative District to help them with their future funding endeavors. I took that as a letter of support to give them Summer Sounds. So in your memo, it does say direction to do a resolution to give them Summer Sounds, but what I meant there after clarification with Lisa was more of a letter of, or more of a resolution of support showing the town's kind of cheerleading support at this point of the Creative District, so.
For the Creative District and Summer Sounds.
Yeah, and so we can include in there Summer Sounds, but really wanted it. She gave me an example from Ignacio that they did a letter of support for their Creative District to help with their funding.
Yeah, we should definitely do that.
I wish we could do more this year, but I think that's a really good, at least,
At the minimum.
show of support.
Are you all in support of giving them Summer Sounds as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Just sort of like materials?
Well, so instead of us, in previous years, we've done kind of a very long contract on the town's responsibility in Summer Sounds and the Creative District's responsibility. And in recent years, you know, they really need the creativity of their own event, basically, and not being micromanaged by the town on where to place it, you know, how to manage it. And giving them that full creativity will hopefully help them with their fundraising.
Okay.
I think they've done an exceptional job, and I think that it's something that seems really fit.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And this would bring the event back to the downtown, essentially, Anisi Park.
No, that was the town of Silverton's request. But giving it to them, they would have free rein on where they would put it, and I think they're going for Memorial Park.
Well, Ron, anything?
Good.
Okay. Then I will make a motion to approve the 2025 agreement between Silverton Creek District and the town of Silverton. Oh, sorry. Do you have something, Tyler?
Oh, no.
No, sorry. Okay, then I will make that motion.
Second.
Are we making it to support them to write the resolution?
Then we'll do the staff direction.
Sorry, okay, yes, great.
Trustee Halverson?
Yes.
Trustee Wakefield?
Yes.
Trustee Schnitger?
Yes.
Trustee Gardner?
Yes.
Coach?
Yeah.
Person Purple?
Yes.
You feel good about staff direction there?
Yes, I do.
Great. Dog sledding.
Right.
Speaking of loud noises.
All right, so this contract is a renewal from previous years. Durango Dog Sled Tours or Durango Dog Ranch has operated at the base of La Plata Canyon. And when there's not enough snow, they utilize Mullis Park for their tours, and they've maintained a contract with the town since at least 2016. And if they operate at Mullis, the town receives 6% of their revenues. Typically, we've seen about $500 from them. And I would recommend renewing the contract.
Great. I'll make a motion to approve the Durango dog sled contract.
Second.
Trustee Halverson?
Yes.
Trustee Wakefield? Trustee Schnitger?
Yes.
Trustee Gardner?
Yes.
Trustee George?
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's visitor center operations.
Yes, so this was discussed in our last meeting, talking about the visitor center. What has changed in this contract is we would be paying them out for 10 months out of the year, instead of spreading it to the 12 months. So they could get their payroll in and then close for the basically November, October, or I think it's November, she had said. So that was one of the biggest changes, and then reducing the amount to 30,000 a year for that operation.
Did see 3 people drive up to the visitor center today.
A little slim in November.
One small thing I noticed was that the contract under section 3 payment for services, it says the payment should be made in January 2024, April 2024, and July 2024.
We can change that. Yeah.
2025.
Yeah, in your motion, you can say with administrative amendments, and I will change that.
I'll make a motion to approve this contract for the town of Silverton Visitor Center operations with administrative amendments.
Second.
Trustee Halverson?
Yes.
Trustee Wakefield?
Yes.
Schnitger?
Yes.
Trustee Gardner?
Yes.
Trustee George?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper?
Yes.
Great. Under the consent agenda. Anything of note here, Gloria?
And just what we talked about in last meeting as far as drafting a resolution for the SIPA grant and the changes to my contract.
Can you remind me, we have to approve the minutes and
It's just
No.
approving the whole consent agenda, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Trustee Halverson?
Yes.
Trustee Wakefield?
Yes.
Trustee Schnitger?
Yes.
Trustee Gardner?
Yes.
George?
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Harper?
Yes.
My favorite part, staff reports.
I'm gonna call on Sarah here for her staff report regarding Kendall Mountain.
Well, we're opening. We got our license this afternoon, and that was the final piece that we needed to officially say we're a go and we're opening for the season. So after the meeting tonight, we plan to release a schedule this week. We'll get communication out on social media and release the price increases that we're doing. We're still supporting locals. Got a lot of questions about what I'm doing over there with the pricing this year. And I just want to reiterate that we're going to keep all the rates the same as they were last year for the people that had season pass holders last year. The increase, small increase, is applying to the season passes this year. What else?
Black Friday.
Yes, Black Friday is when season passes go on sale. So you can,
Oh,
Melina, I think. Are we? Oh yeah. Are we ready? Okay, cool.
Thursday, Friday, so they'll have to buy online.
Online. Thank you. Yes. They are. Yeah, so you can go online and purchase tickets, and then I think we're running that until December the 9th.
Or you want?
Thank you.
Yeah, and then on the 9th it starts.
On the 9th, it goes to the regular passes. And then, yeah, again, we'll be releasing the schedule. We're gonna still do the ski-free Sundays once a month, which was a huge hit last year. And we'll do 2 night skiing events this year. So we're just drilling out the rest of the schedule.
Everything looks good with the lift and.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important to know that there are a lot of things to consider over there.
Yeah.
The major thing is that we're running a first generation Tesla operating system on a 1973 Buick. So anytime you do something like that, you're going to run into some compatibility issues. But the electrical portion of what we were trying to address, we believe, has been fixed. And then the mechanical portion, if you guys have ever seen us do that dance where we hit the start button and run over and pull the cord, like that's still going to be a thing. So just don't be alarmed. We have a way around it. We hope to address it at some point long term. It is a big job, and that's something that our current contractor that's working on the lift is outside of their scope of work. So other than that, we have some cool new additions. We have a 4-rail terrain park going in. Silverton Mountain let us borrow their snowmaker. So we're going to try to blow a tubing hill. We just did some more work on the deck portion of the patio. We eliminated the rails on one side and graded up the bathroom area. So we have better accessibility on the back, and we're considering pulling all the handrails down and grading that up to make an additional deck area on the bathroom side. So you can see both sides of the mountain. So we hope to have some cool events this year. The patio is going to be awesome. It's finished. You know, we took some things from here and there and we're making it work. And yeah, we're very, very, very excited, ready to go. So I welcome any questions that anybody has about what we've been doing over there and or anything else on my staff report that you want me to call attention to.
Great work. And opening day is Friday, December 20th.
20th. We're doing a full run until January the 5th. So we'll be open every single day for that solid amount of time. So
Wow.
yeah, it's going to be a big push.
All right. Looking forward to it.
All right, and then my only update is town hall will be closed Thursday and Friday this week for Thanksgiving.
Great. Committee reports, Finance Committee. Jim?
Tyler, Dana and Annette, along with Gloria. We discussed the fee schedule as we discussed this evening. What else did we talk about? I think that was it.
Look at my notes. It was pretty short. I think it was the shortest meeting I've been to.
It was literally 17 minutes.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
wow.
it was the fee schedule that we saw tonight was the big.
I mean, personnel meeting was very short.
Yeah, that's.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all we did.
Great.
Anything else on the Planning Commission?
I think we covered it already.
Thanks for going in my stead, Ron.
Sure.
Oh, was there a BPMD meeting?
There was, yeah. So we discussed the Anglo-Saxon retaining wall that got washed out in the storms. And their kind of remediation that they did was to stabilize the hill without erecting a new one. We also talked about the funds available for cultural resources or cultural historic cultural sites. That's it. And basically the EPA's budget, and if we could go out for more funding to supplement that budget for some of our historical sites. And then the EPA had talked about, they are still monitoring the repository up on Sunnyside there. And they asked that people not go up there this winter because they have these little stakes that are monitoring the soil compaction. So they asked people not, for the future, we'll be able to go up there, but this year they need to monitor that soil compaction and they asked people not to go up there during the winter.
Will there be posted signage?
Yeah, they're working on that. Yeah. And they're also working on trying to flag all of those monitoring sites that they have there, so that it's very easy to see that you shouldn't trample over that if you do go up there.
But don't go up there.
But don't go up there. Library board. And the board reviewed the 2025 budget. The new podcasts are out if you haven't listened to them yet. And the pantry is in full swing. It's not restricted to income, so anyone can go in, grab some food, leave some food, and they do have a refrigerator now, so.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. And personnel and ordinance.
So that for the Personal and Ordinance Committee, we took public comments, but we're postponing to a future date as we couldn't all make it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's also a SWORD committee meeting. That I'm on, and again, for clarification, SWORD is the Southwest Opioid Response District. I'm the town representative on the board, and Austin Lashley is the county rep. And just a brief update, they're handing out some opioid settlement funds to Region 9, and San Juan County Public Health went ahead and applied. We received $30,000, a little over, for Silverton residents, and that will help cover costs for substance use treatment for any substance, costs while attending treatment, such as housing, transportation costs, food, childcare, et cetera, and transportation stipends for any substance use counseling received out of town. And to learn more about it, just give public health a call at 970-387-0242.
Congrats.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
You got it. Which is super great. And it's really amazing that it's covering all substance related issues, not just opioids.
Great. Trustee reports? Anyone have any fun updates? Okay. All right, now on to super fun stuff. Continued business.
I just want to thank everybody.
Oh, yeah.
I want to thank this board. This is our first Thanksgiving together. And I'm sorry for not being there. Lindsay, you're doing a great job. But I'm down here at Old Tucson putting up Christmas lights. And but I wouldn't miss this meeting. So thank you guys. And a very happy Thanksgiving to all.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks.
You missed a delicious potluck.
I know.
Everyone made incredible dishes. Nothing canned over there. Thanks, Jim. Okay, sorry. Now on to continued business. Yep, great. We'll go to the Blair Street project.
All right, so after last meeting, I spoke with CDOT. And they would still really like to see Silverton apply for the MMOF funds to match the TAP funds. I have spoken with Sarah Moore, and she does have the capacity to copy and paste our TAP application into the MMOF application. CDOT is really not excited about us giving back the funds. because they don't have another project to give this to, and they realize that it's been our priority for a while. The town essentially has nothing to lose by applying for their committed match. So it would be our committed match that we would be applying for. And with Sarah Moore's help, we would have the capacity. I also spoke with the Blair Street Association, who we have a representative here, and reached out after the last, I think Bill's online too. They reached out after the last meeting and they would like to start a special district to help with the improvements as well. So I'd like to propose the trustees conduct a work session in the new year to understand the mechanism of a special improvement district, as the Blair Street Association is one of 2 inquiries that I received, wanting to do a special improvement district. So hoping to schedule that out. So the first part of this is the Blair Street grant, bringing it back. And giving it one more try with this MMOF funding, it wouldn't be anything out of the town's pocket. And would keep us in good graces with CDOT, really.
Yeah, I appreciate CDOT pursuing this still and coming up with some solutions. I don't see why we shouldn't apply for this.
When would we know?
I don't have that timeline. They never usually announce when you'll get your announcement. CDOT doesn't anyways.
Yeah.
But the applications due end of next week.
Yeah.
Well, if we can have it done, then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. I think.
And this is,
For that.
we're thinking that we're still, or the plan would be to go out to RFQ. To move away from the SGM. Open it up again.
Well, so these MMOF funds would cover the 20,000 that we had anticipated spending next year in the last memo.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it's great.
Yeah, she.
All right.
Optionless. Jim, any comments?
Oh, I'm very excited to see it rolling forward. And to see that all parties are involved
Absolutely.
and wanting to pitch in. That's the most important part.
Yeah.
So thanking everybody for keeping that rolling.
Do we need direction or?
Yeah, so it would be direction to submit the MMOF grant and then direction, and you can say direction given after this, to set up a work session in January or in the new year. I'm realizing January is filling kind of fast. On a special improvement district.
Being special improvement district would just be the kind of like anyone who wants to do it, wouldn't be specific to this project.
It would be specific to this project and another project proposed so that you guys could get a good understanding before making a decision on that. On what the town's liability is.
Districts do and how we work.
Yeah, and business special improvement districts are different than the other one that's proposed. It was more of a residential one. So we'll give you guys kind of the tools to evaluate both of those.
Excellent.
Yes, on both for me, for direction. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, great. Thanks for being here. I know that we do have a hand raised right now. I can't see who it is right now. Maybe I do need better.
Oh, no.
Nope, it's on. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Waiving plant investment fees.
All right, so at the November 12th board meeting, staff was directed to draft a resolution for the waiver of development fees. As I was drafting this resolution, I realized that we can't do that per our code. So our current code, section 13-150, says under no circumstances shall any plant investment charge be waived, as said charge is made to provide revenues for future system improvements. We do have knowledge that in 2015, I'm not sure when this was added to our code, but in 2015, there were the board waived the plant investment fees for Anvil Mountain Development. And I'm not sure how they did that with this in our code, but maybe it wasn't in our code in 2015.
Wait, when did we waive the Anvil Mountain?
2015.
2015?
Mhm.
Was that because it was outside of?
No, that was just
Never-
for affordable housing. And so, but I'm kind of bound by the code, and so if we would like to waive those it's specifically for the plant investment fees, not the other development fees. But if we would like to waive that, we would need to go through the process of amending our code. And so we would present you all with an amended version of in an ordinance, and make it specific for affordable housing. To basically be able to waive these fees.
I'm in support of that. I think I think we've heard public comment and there's a good argument to be made that it's a difficult time for us to be waiving these fees, but it's also just a really good way for us to make a good match for these grant applications. And that's in turn bringing in a lot of funding for these projects and for this project specifically. So I think this is the best way to do that. And I support passing an ordinance to amend the code, allowing us to waive these fees for affordable housing specifically.
I'm in favor of that as well.
We did hear significant public comment on it, but I'll take a Mayor Cranker view again. She'd always do a high level overview from what you kind of heard last time. Don't laugh at me, Jim. This project it would be really hard to move forward without being able to waive these fees. And so we're kind of at that point where we made a decision earlier tonight to keep the project moving forward. And so it would make sense to make another decision to keep the project moving forward, acknowledging that it's gonna be really tough for like people in Silverton. We're going to be paying a lot more for our water and sewage, and we're waiving some of these fees. So there's some contradictory, tough things in there.
Very proud.
I just also think it's important for us to remember that this is like an investment in the vitality of our town going forward, and that housing is just so crucially needed. And this is actually, from that perspective, this is a small price to pay for what we're getting out of this project.
And there's more houses, there's gonna be eventually more people paying water and sewer. People we have in town ultimately could help decrease some of the fund fees, I think.
Right, these are fees that we're not collecting if the project doesn't happen
Yeah.
anyway. So it's not like, it doesn't represent a material loss really, other than the staff time
The materials,
and materials, yeah.
just that, we
But
asked.
that, I mean, that's a relatively smaller portion of these $100,000.
Yeah, I mean, some of them are and aren't, but just acknowledging like it's more than just, us giving money. It's like actual time and material costs. Yeah, go ahead, Ann.
Yeah, Amy, you said it well that like people are going to be paying their water and sewer rate. This is just taking out that upfront cost from development. And then I did also want to clarify that the water plant investment fee is it is significant, but it's 31,626 for the fourplex and then 4,651 for the single family. So we're looking at about like $36,000 or $37,000 out of the water and sewer fund. Oh, I guess there's tap fees in there as well. But 103,000 isn't just water and sewer plant, it's also building permit and site plan. So while yes, it is technically impacting the water plant investment fee, the total fee waiver is dispersed amongst planning and building review fees as well.
Ron, sorry, I interrupted you.
I know this is tough, but our water and sewer fees are hemorrhaging. And we're gonna sacrifice $100,000 on this. We're gonna put the burden back on all the other taxpayers for that amount of money. We could do percentage, probably go for that, but the full fee, I just can't do it.
What are you thinking, Ron?
I would even consider 50%.
Propose it to the team.
What do you think?
So cutting out
Cutting,
certain things,
cutting out the water and sewer taps 50%.
the investment.
Yes.
Yeah, I think what's tough is just like I've heard from Anne in the last meeting, and like I agree with you, Ron. Like this feels weird to be paying more money like as a ratepayer and then kind of have these fees waived. But it's like this project is at a place of not moving forward without these fees. So it'd be kind of making a decision of like, not only would we kind of make a decision to not have the project move forward as well as not give the fees.
If it's possible to find other funding, I think that would be something to look at. I don't know if it can be done, but again, we're burdening the existing ratepayers with additional fees.
Yeah. Tough to find other money out there right now.
And do you have any sense of what the, bare minimum in-kind match we'd have to make in order for our application to be competitive? I know that $103,047 is not this magic number that we need to match exactly. So what do you think would be competitive for application?
So okay, so the way that the DOH application is looking at this is what percentage of the total project budget is the amount that the state is paying. So the state, we're requesting $616,000 from the state. And we get more points, and points are critical in this application. We get more points if that DOH percentage is less than 15% of the total project budget. And I don't have that number right in front of me right now, but in our original budget, we were assuming that total town of Silverton fees were going to be 150,000. And after I calculated with the fee increase and my calculations came to 103,000, and we're just at that 15% number that gets us the points needed. And so like anything less is going to significantly impact our score. And this is an incredibly competitive grant. And so I really do hear the concern here, and I like understand where people are coming from. But at the same time, that this is just a different investment in our community that actually will benefit everyone in the long term. And I think this is really tough timing to be requesting this as we're increasing rates. So, I mean, we can look into, I will continue to search for grant funding. But I think it's really critical that we are able to keep this sort of, that we're bringing something to the table here, frankly. Like a lot of people are putting a shit ton of, oh my gosh, excuse me. A lot of people are putting a lot of money into this project.
Happy
Carved out.
Thanksgiving.
I'm so sorry. I'm a little stressed.
Well, you know what? It shows your passion. Thank you.
Totally. I just think that like there are other entities that are bringing over $500,000 to this project. And so like we need to bring something to the table here. And so I will keep looking for grant funding, but this grant is due on Monday. And so our budget is already like pretty locked in here. So
Thanks, helpful.
yeah. Sorry for that, everyone.
Okay, Anne.
I just think if we lose this grant, we're losing the opportunity for more housing, more residents, more eventual water and sewer fee contributors. It is an investment, it's bad timing. And if we don't do it, we don't get the grant, we don't get the housing. And it's just something that we've prioritized. That's my view on it.
Just, prioritize affordability as well. I'm not playing devil's advocate. It's just, I'm trying to acknowledge the public comments that were in the room that things are expensive right now. I was thinking would we approve this if we weren't also raising fees at the same time? Does this feel bad right now just because the timing of it? Because if this were 5 months ago.
Yeah.
Before we started this whole process of raising rates, would it be different? Yeah, sorry. I don't know if it's relevant, just the way that we're processing it is very in this paradigm right now.
I mean, I think that might be part of the emotional component, but I think it's super reasonable to be skeptical of something like this because this is a system that we all need to contribute to, and we're, waiving this contribution basically into these investment fees that we will need in the future. So I don't think it's to be taken lightly, and I appreciate you playing that role, Lindsay. I still think it's the right thing to do. I think that this supports our priorities and it's an investment in the future. Doesn't mean it doesn't kind of stink to, have to say that we're passing on this funding. Ratepayers.
Jim?
Hey, thanks. I agree with Carl. I agree with Ron. I have advocated, this is an investment into the future for Silverton. This is an investment into the affordable housing, which is to the workforce. This is everyone. This is Silverton's future. I truly do believe that. Sorry, guys. My question for Anne, and for the rest of the board is if we do give this investment and waiving the fee on the front end, is there any possibility of recouping even a little bit of it on the back end, whether it be $20 a month added to the monthly water bill or the bi-monthly water bill? Just any little thing to recoup some of the costs, because I can see it from both sides. Which is why I just want to ask the question. Sorry, guys.
So something that we've been talking about is doing a percentage of the closing costs, or sorry, the Silverton Housing Authority having a closing fee at the time of sale of these units. And the idea here was to recoup some of our investments that we're making. And sort of like serve as a development fee for the housing authority. The details of that are not worked out yet, but it isn't off the table that we could do a percentage of the sale price at the time of closing, and and then the board decide where that funding goes to. So some costs can be recouped. I can't speak to what that number looks like. It is really tricky because these sale prices do need to be affordable, and it's calculated based on income, and 30% of your income goes to housing. And so it does start to get a little bit tricky. So I definitely would have to look more into it, and I absolutely can. But I do need a clear answer this evening as far as how to proceed with the grant.
No, and that was going to be my follow-up was I don't want any of these discussions to hold up the entire process. I do feel strongly enough to vote tonight, and I hope everyone else does as well.
I think on the one hand, we are taking money away from plant investment, but we can't look at it as just losing money, right? It is a match. On the other hand, it is part of the grant match. And then one of the things that struck me is also when we were talking about this during one of our last meetings, you know, John Seitz did point out that although $100,000 is not a small number, and not even that for whatever the investment, the plant investment is, or and especially the sewer plant investment, these are not small numbers for us in our community. They are small in comparison to what the entire project is going to cost. And, you know, we're going to need to find a lot more outside money for that project as well. So in my mind, if we can get more payers, more, you know, larger tax base, I think in the long run, this is going to be the right thing to do. And we should keep moving with this project.
It's about growing the pie and not looking 1 year, 2 years. We're looking 5 to 10 years, 20 years down the road. That's my approach.
We need those 800 to 1,000 people for our home rule.
Closer to that with this.
So it sounds like we might have some different views. If you guys wanted to take a vote, we could take a vote for the staff direction. And then as part of that, if we are going to be changing our code, I'll probably draft a letter of intent to submit to the grant so that they know that we are in the process. So just so that you guys are aware of that, if that's the direction we had.
Gloria, I have a draft.
And I'll sign it.
Yeah, and so this vote is about changing the code to allow this in the future. And then direction to.
Well, we're voting on what direction we want to give? Is that?
If we're split, you guys can vote on giving direction to amend the code.
I mean, I'm in favor. It's a tough one.
I'm in favor as well.
Do we want to do a vote?
We can do a vote.
This is to amend the code to allow the tap fees to be eliminated. It doesn't specifically say we're doing it for this project. Is that correct?
It's for affordable housing.
For affordable
Yeah.
housing, okay.
Yeah, so it would amend it to say that the board could waive the plant investment fees for an affordable housing project.
We could do it.
Yes, you could. It wouldn't say that you shall or or automatically. It would still come to the board. It would just give you that option, because right now you don't really have the option under our current code.
Okay, so like the under no circumstances language would change to reflect it.
Correct.
This is the specific circumstance.
Correct. Yeah.
So, vote or staff direction?
I'm good with staff direction.
Yeah. Yes, on staff direction.
Staff direction.
Okay.
Okay. We will bring you all a draft of the ordinance, and then we'll also draft, well, we've already drafted it, I guess, and we will sign that letter to give to the granting agency. All right.
Thank you for your diligence.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anne.
Thank you, Anne. Good night.
Thank
Good
you,
work, Ann.
everyone.
Okay. We are on to our public comment section. I can open it up for in-person public comment again. And then we'll keep track. You have 3 minutes. So in-person public comment? Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah, get up there.
Oh, you know I'd have a public comment. I always do. I couldn't grab a lot. Acoustics in this room is terrible. We all know that. I could only hear about half of what was going on. But I would like to see anybody that would like to come into Silverton to live here, any normal person with a normal income or something should be able to come in here and afford to live in Silverton. It's a beautiful place. I want it to be open to everyone, not just the elites who have the money to come in here. I want it, the normal working person or the family to come in and enjoy our beautiful town and take advantage of everything it has to offer. So when you consider all of these things that you're going to be considering, remember that normal person, remember that normal family. Perhaps they're just starting out and they want to live in a beautiful place like we already live. They should be given that chance. So I don't know all the answers to the financial situations and so forth. I don't know them. All I'm saying is every time you consider any rates of any kind, which seem to be another tax on the public or so, it just makes it that tougher for the normal person to come in. You know, when the normal person comes in and finds out what a piece of property costs, and then they look at the tap and investment fees, and then they look at this, that, and the other thing that the town requires them to do. You know, I have a piece of property up north here, and when I wanted to get a new water line in, I paid for it. Town takes it over, but you know, that's somehow it's always worked around here. What you also have to consider, one last point is, we, whether we like it or not, are in competition with every town around us in the southwest corner of the state. That means other towns are trying to attract people to come and live there too, booster their residency or whatever it is. Several years ago, many years ago, there was a survey put out and people were asked, what do you think the ideal population of Silverton should be? The magic number from just about everybody was 1,200. Well, that would virtually double our population. But there was reason for that because they felt that was a good number for the community, for taxpayers, for getting kids in school. The whole thing, it's the whole thing. Getting the kids in school, making it a real community. 1,200 was the number. I think, in my own opinion, that number still applies. But again, if other towns around us are saying, please come to our town and we're going to give you a break on this, that, and the other thing, and maybe they'll pay it back in the long run. But initially, to get them into their town, they may give them some breaks or some leeways or something to make it a little easier to attract those people to come into town. And that's the way they do it. And eventually they'll get their money, but it might be put off for a while. Put off just long enough for the new people to come in and be able to afford to start doing things. You know how much it costs to start anything around here.
Thank you, Mike. That was your 3 minutes. That was your 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think I've said what I have to. And again, thanks for the Blair Street consideration. As they say in sports, go Blair Street.
Thank you, Mike.
Any online public comment? Can't see the name. Oh, Tim.
Hi, this is Tim.
We can hear you.
I just wanted just a brief comment on the on economics. I have a degree in finance. And anytime we put ceilings and floors, for example, on things and we mess with economics, I think it can have negative impacts to the economy that we don't realize. It causes an inequity between demand and supply, for example. So just my only comment is that in general, and this is more of a general comment, I believe that it's better if we allow economics to do what it's supposed to do and capitalism to do what it's supposed to do. And the government involvement in that is to encourage income in businesses and promote income in businesses to be able to thrive. And that increases the income and the viability of housing for people in a town or a location. So I'm against I'd say with caution, moving forward with things involving government in being able to provide and impact the economics of a location. That's my only comment.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay, you're up.
Isaac?
Yes, this is Bill Walco. I want to thank the board for considering the Blair Street project and the funding to support it. I think this is a very good way moving forward to keep the ball rolling on it. I think that the additional funding opportunity with MMOF funding is a great thing to pursue. And also the idea of doing special improvement district to help the funding gap that we have been facing. It might be a very good, viable path forward. And I look forward to having a meeting associated with that, not only for Blair Street, but it may provide a blueprint for how other infrastructure work could be done on other streets throughout the town. So I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful for your continued support of this, and I look forward to good things happening going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any further public comment? I think Bill's hand's just up, right? Yeah. All right. Okay. With that, I'll close public comment. And Jim, it's your turn.
Thank you so much. I would like to now entertain a motion to go into executive session. Anyone?
Second.
Second? Under CRS, section 24-6-402, 4B, conference with Silverton Town Attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice regarding Kendall Mountain event
I sent you
contracts.
the wrong one.
Roll call, please.
I sent you the wrong one. We are actually going under 24-6-402 4F CRS for, that's the wrong one too. Dang it. Hold on.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Everything. I was trying to send this from Dana's. If I can't get this to you right now. Oh, no, that was right. That was the right one. Okay, sorry. We're good.
All right, we have a first and a second.
Yes.
Roll call, por favor.
Going on?
To go
To go to the
into
executive session.
Okay.
Yes.
Trustee Robertson?
Yes.
Trustee Wakefield?
Yes.
Trustee Schicker?
Yes.
Trustee Gardner?
Yes.
Trustee George?
Yeah.
Mayor Pro Tem Hartman?
Yes.
Great.
Are we shutting things
Initiate.
down and locking it up?
Yep.
Okay.
Anybody who's on these minutes, please log off.
Let me know when we're ready and I'll read the.
You can stay if you want. Hi, Sarah.
Good luck, I trust.
Sarah.
Yes, sir.
All right, so for those that are online,